Well, the sales numbers for The Last of Us Part 2 are out, and I am waiting for all the stands to try to use these numbers to discredit everyone who has been criticizing the game so far, to claim that we have been saying it will bomb the whole time, when in fact we have proof that most of us, at least, have been saying that we expect the game to do well, but the key is the longevity of the sales, meaning how well, once word of mouth spreads, will this game do in the long run, much like with The Last Jedi back in 2017. Hello, this is Mara Jade, and I'm here with another video, and I found one of the articles on CNET.com entitled The Last of Us Part 2 sells 4 million, becomes fastest selling Sony game ahead of Spider-Man. Articles like this will be what stands, Last of Us Part 2 stands, Naughty Dog stands, whatever you want to call them, will use to try to discredit those who have been criticizing the game, those who are still criticizing the game, such as myself, and so forth. But I'm going to go into this, and then I'm going to give my opinions on some parts in the article. So let's dive into this, shall we? Okay, The Last of Us Part 2, Sony's post-apocalyptic survival game set decades into a pandemic that nearly wipes out humanity, has become one of the company's fastest-selling games ever. The company said it tallied more than 4 million copies sold to customers through June 21st and after its release on June 19th. Okay, the game follows characters from 2013's blockbuster The Last of Us, a grizzled smuggler named Joel, and a gay teenager named Ellie. Why did you have to put gay teenager? We know she's a lesbian. We know from the Last of Us Left Behind game, the DLC for The Last of Us, we know. We've known for how long? Why did you have to put gay teenager? Is it kind of a dig at those of us who've been criticizing it? The people in the show media who've been claiming that those who are quote-unquote review bombing the game are doing so because of the LGBTQ representation in the game? Is that it? Why did you have to put it that way? You could have just said Joel and Ellie. You didn't have to say gay teenager Ellie. You just said a grizzled Joel and Ellie. Or just Joel and Ellie. 4 years after they traveled across the country facing down gangs, militias, and other desperate survivors. The game also centers on a pandemic fungus that takes over people's brains and disfigures their bodies. The Last of Us Part 2 was praised by critics for its detailed visuals, voice acting, and gameplay. Praised by critics, the critics who expect, kind of perks and kickbacks and free copies of games, basically, from companies to ensure that they get good publicity for the game, especially a game that is steeped in controversy. Not just necessarily with the leaks, but with what Sony was doing with the false copyright strikes. You remember that, CNET.com. Or did you completely forget that? Because I don't remember seeing anything on your site reporting that. For people who were getting their channels nearly taken down for content that did not in any way at all violate the copyright system. You forgetting that? Some portions of the internet, however, criticized the game's story and its marketing, which omitted surprise twists. Oh, you mean like this surprise twist that was conveniently twisted and manipulated in such a way that it made players think that Joel was in most of the game? Made players think that Joel was going to play a key role or a much bigger role than the actually happened within The Last of Us Part 2? The people who thought that maybe the leaks were wrong if they knew anything about them? No. See, that's not just twists, CNET.com. That is blatant manipulation. That is blatant lying by inserting a scene into the trailer that is not there. Inserting Joel into a part in the trailer where he is not. Aging Joel in a part of the trailer in one of the clips to make it seem like he's there for most of the game, when in fact it was a flashback. Those twists? That's what you're talking about? Still, that hasn't kept millions of people from purchasing and playing. Because of the deception. You can say that, yeah, there are those who are fans, most of them are fans who loved the first game and maybe stayed away from the leaks, or saw the leaks and wanted to play the game anyway, but then there are those who saw the trailer and were swept in by the thought that, hey, even though you're supposed to be able to play solely as Ellie, looks like Joel is in for most of the game, Joel being a fan favorite from the first one. And then another thing that they got slapped in the face for, Naughty Dog lied about the fact that you could only play as Ellie, when in fact, you're only playing as Ellie for half the game. And then they forced you to play as a character that you know nothing about, the character Abby, the same character who murders viciously, out of revenge, the beloved character Joel from the first game. You're forced to play as that character through half the game, at least. So yes, CNET.com, these sales are good, but you're omitting certain elements. The Last of Us Part 2 represents large-scale innovation in gaming with a great blend of excellent gameplay mechanics and masterful storytelling, this senior vice president says. Their financial success with The Last of Us Part 2 is the latest example of how popular video games have become in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic. Well, people are staying at home, they have nothing else to fucking do. Okay, governments around the globe, blah 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 blah. Different games. For Sony, The Last of Us Part 2's first week sales tally beat out other hit games it made in the past 7 years, including Marvel's Spider-Man and the adventure game God of War. It also follows 2013's The Last of Us, which was the fastest-selling exclusive game for the PlayStation 3, selling 3.4 million copies in its first 3 weeks. Sony said its tally for sales of The Last of Us Part 2 takes into account returns or canceled pre-orders. I seriously doubt that. Seriously doubt that. At least in terms of returns. People have been able to cancel pre-orders, but people who were canceling the pre-orders were also saying how much of a fucking bitch it was to do so. Naughty Dog, Sony's video game studio that made the game, is known for its intricate stories and dramatic games. The studio also made titles such as the well-received adventure series Uncharted. Uncharted 1 through 3, Naughty Dog helmed by Amy Denig, the same woman who was ousted from Naughty Dog by the supposedly, women supporting Neil Druckmann. The same guy, took over, pissed off some Uncharted fans with Uncharted 4, and is now kicking off The Last of Us fans with The Last of Us Part 2. But yet, he supports women. With The Last of Us, Sony's team shifted from the adventure genre to survival genre. The first game included regular scenes of brutal fighting and gory deaths. With the sequel, the company made it even grittier. Neil Druckmann, vice president, blah blah blah, and the game's director said in 2018 interview with Variety that his team doesn't use the word fun to describe The Last of Us Part 2, but rather prefers you feel the stakes of your character, or for your character. If we're going to tell this story, we have to go there, we have to make you feel uncomfortable, he explains. I think you made them feel pretty fucking uncomfortable with what you had them do, with what they couldn't do to stop with Joel's death, with you forcing them to play as a character they couldn't give two shits about. And here's some more quotes, blah blah blah. But so basically, it sold well. It sold well, and those of us who've been even criticizing what Sony's been doing and so forth, and the story leaks and plot points, those of us who've been criticizing it have said it's going to do well. I've said it's going to do well. I did not expect it. I thought it could do better. It would have done better, I think, had these leaks not happened. But at the same time, I didn't expect it to bomb. But the key is, when word of mouth spreads, how are the sales going to do? It's like with The Last Jedi back in 2017. Yes, it broke records opening weekend, but then you look at the subsequent weeks after that, and it plummeted. I'm not necessarily saying this game is going to do so, but at the same time, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking ahead to. I want to see the longevity of the sales. I want to see if they increase, if they stay the same, or if they start decreasing. I want to see that. That is the key. Not the opening week, necessarily, but after the opening week. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do you think this is an indicator that people that are actually loving the game, or do you think it's an indicator that people were duped by the marketing and so forth into buying a game they thought Joel was going to play a major part in? Let me know down in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a thumbs up, share on social media if you will. I need that validation. Have you ordered the game? Have you played it? Do you like it or do you not like it? Let me know that also down in the comments below. Tune in tomorrow evening for the weekly live stream I do with Lethal Lightning, the Nerdy and the Lethal at 10 p.m. Eastern. Until then, I'll catch you on the dark side. Take care, and Abby Smash.